Good morning, my name is Rheam.
And I'm Joesph Galindo.
Here's today's news. Today we're talking about a fashion show happening at the school, the Dream for Weave Radiothon, President Biden's visit to Kyiv, and our beloved hero Florida Man coming up on the Red Rare Report, starting now. On Friday, March 3rd, the school will be holding a fashion show.
Be sure to have your Renaissance cards on you because you will need them to purchase a ticket, which is $3 a piece.
The show is only available for juniors and seniors with Renaissance cards. Sophomores, maybe next year.
The show will take place in the theater. Manchester businesses will be there to hand out giveaways at the end of the show.
Tickets can be purchased next week from Monday to Thursday during first and second lunch, or anytime from Dr. Monroe in room 32 and Miss Brown in room 22. The Dream for Weave Radiothon will be an all-day event starting at 6 a.m. and ending at 6 p.m. to raise funds for the foundation ahead of the annual Thundy Sports Awards.
The Dream for Weave Foundation is focused on providing scholarship funding to graduating Coffee County Central athletes and purchasing equipment and covering fees for athletes in need. Last
year, the foundation provided $13,000 in scholarship funding to graduating CHS athletes pursuing higher education in college or technical school. The foundation also paid the expenses for several pairs of shoes and equipment for athletes in need.
The Radiothon will feature nearly 30 guests who have been impacted by the foundation or Dennis Weaver, who inspired the foundation. Donations will be accepted via telephone, walk-in, or digital.
It's so great to see everyone come together for a great cause and for a great man.
I couldn't agree more, Ryan. Coming up next is Christian Frazier with the Weekly Weather Report.
My life has been amazing. I got my first car, met a girl, graduated high school, top of my class. Then I went to my dream college on a full-ride athletic scholarship, graduated with a bachelor's degree, and remember the girl? She became my wife. Then, some years passed. Quite a few years. Then my wife and I built a house and had 2 beautiful children. Then, I got my first big promotion. Life went on. I raised kids, and before I knew it, they were as old as I was. In my old age, I thought a lot about the legacy I would leave as I looked at my grandkids playing with the widest smiles on their faces. My life had its ups and downs, but that's just life. A life I never got to live. A legacy I never got to fulfill because I died of an opioid addiction. Now my legacy is just a bottle.
Hello guys, I hope you're enjoying your hat day today. My name is Christian Frazier and this is your weekly forecast for the weekend. Friday, we have a high of 58 with a low of 45. A sad and rainy day. Probably want to keep your hat on for that one. Saturday looks like a high of 57 with a low of 47, with a 70% chance of rain. Sunday, we are expecting a high of 63 with a low of 50, and also very rainy. Somewhat of a chilly weekend. If you're doing anything, make sure to wear a jacket, and most of all, be safe. Now, some insight onto next week. Monday, we are looking at a high of 70 with a low of 54. A 50% chance of rain. Tuesday, a high of 58 with a low of 46. And the day will mostly be sunny. That's all for this weekly forecast. Stay cool and most of all stay safe. And I'm Christian Frazier and we'll see you next. Coming up next is Rheam with sports.
John is a smart kid. He has good friends. Friends he wants to see again. So John drives responsibly. He silences his phone when he drives and always remembers to wear his seatbelt. He stops at red lights and goes when they turn green. He keeps his music low so he can hear his surroundings. Paul, on the other hand.
Good morning, Coffee County. Here is your latest in today's sports news. To start things off, the Lady Raiders will host McMinn County at 7 p.m. at the Joe Frank Patch Memorial Gymnasium tonight. This is a season elimination game. Gates open at 5:30 p.m. and tickets will be $7 for adults and $4 for students. All ticket sales will be at the door and no digital tickets will be available. Meanwhile, the number 3 seed Red Raiders will travel to Cleveland tomorrow to play at 7 p.m. Eastern or 6 p.m. our time. That will also be an elimination game and gates will open at 4:30 p.m. In other news, the following members of the Coffee County Wrestling team will attending Day 2 of the TSSAA State Individual Wrestling Championships. Wish them luck. They are Jeremiah Wardell, Ian Walker, Blaine Myers, Jacob Barlow, Gianna Bear, and Jade Leanhart. That's it for today's news. My name is Rheam, helping bring you latest today's sports news. Coming up next is our beloved hero, Florida Man.
Pop quiz. What's the #1 cause of death for teens ages 16 through 19? You might think drugs. You'd be wrong. You might think alcohol. Wrong again. So what kills over 19,000 teens each year? Distracted driving. It's simple. Put down the phone. For more information, go to teendriversource.org and arrive alive.
A Florida man was arrested for dumping 2 glasses of water on his older brother during an argument over key lime pie of all things.
Lee County Sheriff's deputies on Wednesday arrested David Powelson, 64, who was charged with 1 count of first-degree felony aggravated battery on a person 65 years of age or older in the incident involving his unnamed sibling.
Powelson said he ate a piece of pie that his brother had been saving for later. An argument then ensued, court documents said.
Powelson charged is a first-degree felony. Usually it's a second-degree felony, but Florida cracks down on it when it's done to a person 65 years old or older.
Under Florida law, a first-degree felony carries a penalty of at least 3 years and up to 30 years in prison and a $10,000 fine upon conviction. So basically, imagine spending the rest of your life in jail because you poured water on your brother.
I can't imagine that, man. That's just flat out outrageous.
That's so stupid. President Joe Biden paid a surprise visit to Kyiv, the capital of Ukraine, marking 1 year since the Russian invasion.
A fired-up president told a Warsaw crowd that Ukraine will never be a victory for Russia, and that U.S. support for Ukraine would not waver.
Biden said 1 year ago the world was bracing for the fall of Kyiv. Well, I've just come from a visit to Kyiv, and I can report that Kyiv stands strong, the president added, drawing cheers.
In his private visit to Kyiv on Monday, Biden said the United States will be providing $500 million more in assistance to Ukraine and will be announcing this week further sanctions against Russia.
And Tuesday's speech came hours after Putin delivered his own defiant address in Moscow, blaming the war on the West and raising false accusations of the neo-Nazi regime in Ukraine he said Russia was fighting.
President Biden went on to say, "Freedom, there is no sweeter word than freedom. There is no nobler goal than freedom, and there's no inspiration than freedom. Americans know that, and you know that."
That's it for today's news. If you like this episode, make sure you like this video and subscribe to the Radio TV YouTube channel down below. And most of all, stay warm. Have a great weekend.